Hello, Sariah Bastian here. Today I have one of my current clients who is enrolled inside of Beyond Breath. Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today and being willing to share your story with us.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Thank you so much. So, as most of you know, when we do these testimonials, my clients choose to stay confidential. And so Dawn has her camera off, which we absolutely respect. So we just appreciate hearing where she was and where she is now after and Beyond Breath. So Dawn, let's get to that. Tell us what the main problem you were experiencing before Beyond Breath.
Yeah, so I was just experiencing a place where there was infidelity in our relationship, and I was spending an enormous amount of time constantly snooping on his phone, looking at emails, looking at receipts, going through his car. And all of this was happening before I even told him what I knew that he was doing. And this went on for a very long time. And then later on, after I informed him and things came out and he started his recovery and we were in recovery and therapy and that kind of thing, I realized that even though I had stopped looking at his phone receipts, at that time I was still somewhat snooping. Then it would be like kind of like his briefcase still, which I still did that at the time, or I'd still kind of go through his car. But it was also just, I never trusted him. Everything he did, I didn't trust, even though I knew he was in his recovery program. And even though I had done everything that I said I wasn't going to do in the past, now it was just a rumination of, I really want to look, but I don't want to look, because I know when I look, I'm going to find something. So it's just been this constant crazy cycle of looking and then not looking and then ruminating on wanting to look. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. So you knew before he knew you knew. And you
Yes.
started this looping then, right? Then you confronted him and you both decided to work on reconciliation. And regardless of what he was doing and the efforts he was putting into his recovery, you still didn't trust that recovery, and that rumination piece was still there for you to continue to look, and the questioning and the second guessing of the reality that you were living.
Correct. Yes, that's exactly what I
Yeah.
was doing.
Yeah.
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 So how long, so you said years, like how long had you been dealing with this?
So when I found out about his infidelity, I knew for a couple of years before I told him. And then
Mm,
when I told, so that was probably 2006. And even before then, there was some areas where I thought there was infidelity, but he constantly denied, denied, denied. And so we got together in
mm,
2010, and it's 2022. And so it's pretty much been going on our entire relationship, to be quite honest. But 2016 is when I
wow.
really got confirmation of what was really happening. I sat on that for a couple of years before I told him. And then just
Mm,
this nasty, crazy cycle. And, this crazy cycle isn't just snooping, it's constantly lack of communication, lack of trust, lack of intimacy because around it. So it's been going on for a very, very long time.
yeah.
Even though we had been doing
Yeah.
everything possible.
Yeah. I love that. Like, and when you say like lack of trust, lack of intimacy, it's like you're, as I always think of it, like you're divided amongst yourself. Like part of you is like implemented into the relationship, and part of you still has one foot out and you're not fully invested in it because there's still that caution there.
Absolutely. I think what happened is I ultimately, even though I'm a person who builds up a wall because of just past trauma, this built up
Mhm.
such a massive wall that I just could not let it go. Even though there were times that I felt
Yeah.
like I had forgiven him and gotten rid of
Mm,
anger and bitterness, I still realized that this wall was up. Like, and that's a great analogy,
mhm.
just the 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I was never solid in one place with him. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. What had you done to try to fix this? I mean, this is like a decade long,
Yeah.
vicious cycle. Like what are some of the things that you did to try to overcome this?
So when I first found out and everything came out, I tried to do everything to fix myself, from
Mm.
different clothes, extensions in my
Mm.
hair, eyelashes, getting more sexual in the bedroom, lingerie. I mean, you name it, I did it in every form in that capacity. But also on top
Yep.
of that, I was secretly going to a women's support group through our church called Journey. And it's for women who have husbands of a sex addiction, and they have a men's program for the men. So I secretly did that class for 2 years. So before I told him, so I and therapy and you just name it. I have done everything to fix um, myself. I still, even
Mm.
sometimes to this day, I'm still working on that through this Beyond Breath of just trying to not fix myself right now and just be content
Mm.
and happy with who I am, and remind myself that it's not me that is causing the main issue in this problem, with the problem in our relationship. Um,
Yeah.
around my physical body, my divine self, like
Mhm.
that. That's what I mean when I say that. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so I've done a
Yeah.
lot. I've done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So what has been the highlight for you since joining Beyond Breath? Now you just completed your 8th week, so you've been through all 8 modules. You were very dedicated in doing one module a week for the 8 weeks. What's been the highlight for you?
Um, well, because I have been in therapy for so long, and I'll get to your question in a second, but I was in therapy for so long, and our therapist had referred us to go do a outpatient rehab program that was kind of based around
Mm.
trusting and letting these walls down, and building more intimacy and that kind of thing. And so I randomly found you and on Instagram, and your program was not what I expected. And it has become such a blessing because it is the pieces that I needed, that I felt like I should have been given in therapy. And don't get me wrong, I love my
Mm.
therapist and I think she gave me a lot of great insight, but I felt like now, as I'm looking and learning about being grounded and getting out of my thoughts and into my body and understanding myself more in a deeper level, I'm finally getting out of my head. I'm finally getting out of that place of the ruminating of the, well, this happened in the past, and what is the future going to look like, and the stories, and trying to put the pieces together. I've been doing that this whole time, and that's what I was also doing in therapy. I was just constantly ruminating
Mhm.
and retelling the story, and it was just trauma every single week. I was just reliving the trauma, and now I'm finally to a place where my head is the clearest it's ever been. I'm finally being able to be present with myself, present with the people around me, with him. He and I are divorced but have been trying to reconcile. But this was what was being stuck, was because I was not trusting him. And so I'm finally in this place
Mhm.
where I'm finally able to start trusting myself and make decisions for myself. I don't know what the future holds for he and I, but at least I have the capacity to listen to my body and make the decisions
Yeah.
for myself, and have the tools that when I start to get in my head and tell this story or talk to myself, I can catch myself very quickly and come back to myself and be grounded. And so, yeah, it has just been so, I mean, it's so much. I could just share every single piece of every module, but it's just been such a blessing. Yeah, for way that I feel right
Good.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And just having those tools to not get carried away in the place where you have been for years and years and years, and to stop and come back to yourself. So what have you learned that what maybe like the one thing that you've learned so far that has really transformed things for you?
So, two things. One has been the grounding. Um, and I think I have shared offline in our group that, my daughter is really into the chakra system. And I thought it was kind of kooky at first, but the more and more I get to know it, I'm really understanding my body piece by piece by piece, and how it's all connected and how it all works. So I have just learned so much about that aspect. But I've also, like I said, this
Mhm.
grounding, I've heard the word grounding 100 times, and breathing, but I don't know, for some reason, just the way you present your material just sat right with me, and it just felt comfortable, and I felt like an aha moment, like, okay, I can do this. This isn't hard. And I think that that is, like you've said through the whole time I've been listening to this program, is that's the place you come back to over and over and over again. And it has been every single day. I don't know how many times I come back to that. So I guess that that is the biggest piece of all of it. I mean, there's such great stuff to learn, but that is the constant one that's reminder to me, is to make sure that I am present and in my space, and that my space is safe. Yeah.
Yeah, you have yourself now, whereas before, like, you were disconnected from yourself, lost in that place of chaos, the desire to control when you felt out of control, and now you feel that control because you're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That control, and I'm a
Yeah.
very big control person. So yes, that is probably what has been really good. Not even just letting go of control in my emotions and stuff, but letting control over, raising teenage daughters, and the control of how my expectations and yeah,
Mhm.
it's been quite interesting, and my family has taken notice. And as my one daughter said, she was like, "Mom, you're growing." So they're very happy for me and excited that I'm learning and being a little bit more of a helicopter parent, I guess, in that sense. This has definitely helped me there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 it's been
Yeah.
great.
So what would you say, what have been your results? If you could sum it up, what have been your results?
Um, so with my significant other, like I said, we are divorced, been trying to reconcile for quite some time. We are separated, but when I started this program 8 weeks ago, he and I weren't even on speaking terms. And we
Mm.
are now having date nights several times a week. We are finally being able to communicate. I've been finally able to share with him, and I also would like for him to listen to some of your stuff so that he can get a better understanding, because I know he struggles with the same things that I was through therapy. And so we are finally letting go of the expectation of trying to constantly fix something, and just take it day by day. And we're in a really good place right now. We're about ready to go on a family vacation, and with my children, and it's just been really good. It's been a whole completely different level of communicating with him, and being able to share my feelings, being able to stand in my truth and just speak, and him finally
Yeah.
listen, because I'm not coming from a place of fear and anxiety and control and
Yes.
irritability, or yeah,
Wanting
so
him to
that
fix for you.
yes, fix. I finally have gotten rid of that place of, okay, when the guy tells you he's going to take another polygraph for like the umpteenth time, like how many times can you have him do that and you still question what he's doing? Do you know what I mean? And so I've
Yeah.
finally gotten to a place where I don't need him to take a polygraph. I don't need him to share with me every single thing he's doing during the day. So it has just been a very big breath of fresh air. And then just even with, like I said, my children, communicating with my children, communicating with my girlfriends, my family, being able to keep my boundaries with them and speak my truth has just been great. So
Mm.
this has really just helped me all across the board with all my relationships, not just my one with my significant other based around infidelity. It has just been really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is like, when I say this, like, healing from this trauma is learning how to live again. And that living again doesn't just show up in your relationship with your spouse. Like, it shows up like you're living with all the relationships in your life, and you're learning to show up beyond the trauma and into yourself as a whole individual, into it. So it does change your life. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
I've realized that trauma through my childhood, and just through a previous marriage, and now this, it's just added up. It all of that, as you call it, the programming just continues to add up, and then you just get to a point where I guess you crash, and then you've got to figure out how to refix that programming. So that is definitely what has happened here. And I've just been so excited to learn, and I've been started the program all over again. Um, just making sure I didn't miss anything and just staying on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. And that's the beauty of it, right? Is that you're going to watch it the first 8 weeks, and now you're knowing the tools. Now you're going to be able to go back and watch it again and hear things differently, because you'll understand it. So you'll be able to apply it in different ways in your life. And that living, that healing through your life is going to continue to happen over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what would you say to somebody who is on the fence about joining Beyond Breath?
Oh my gosh, I would highly recommend it. Like I just said, I think this program should be given to anyone and everyone, because it's that good. It
Mm.
like I said too, it's not just, these tools aren't just given to you because of infidelity. I'm using them in my everyday life. It just so happens that what brought me here is infidelity in my marriage and the lack of trust. So I feel like if there's any woman that is really struggling with trusting, and the constant hamster wheel and the constant
Mm.
just questioning or wanting to snoop, like, this is a great place to start. I actually wish that I had this program probably the same time I was taking that other class I was taking. Um, it
Oh,
just I really wish this is where I had started. I think that if I had started here, I would have saved myself years and years of therapy and ruminating on the story every week, causing more trauma.
yeah.
So I'll never go back
Yeah.
to therapy. I now have all these wonderful tools. So if there's any woman out there that is dealing with any of that, I just think that this is the best place to start right now and learn who you are internally before you're going and
Yeah.
just constantly telling the story all over again, over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. It's so, and therapy can be so healing and helpful. But when your body's in a state of panic, like yours was for years and years, the therapy only enhances that panic, right? So doing this healing on the body piece is actually the faster way to find healing. Because if not, you're just spinning those hamster wheels and wasting, wasting time and energy and money over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Absolutely.
everything is here. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so the financial investment, has it been worth it for you?
Oh my gosh, immensely. Yes. Yes. I I like I said, I would do it all over again.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
very blessed to have financially put the money into myself and to continue to have these tools for the rest of my life. Whether I come back and look at the modules again, I might not need to, but at least I now have them here internally with myself. And I can take them anywhere I go for the
Mhm.
rest of my life. So it's
Mhm.
been a great investment.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's all about. And that's why my mother company, like my head company, is called Back Pocket Yoga, because everything I teach you, you have in your back pocket everywhere you go. And that's what it's all about, is that power within to be able to
Yep.
continue to move forward in your life. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Tom, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. And for those of you who are listening, if this calls to you, check out my webinar. The link is in my bio on Instagram, or, send me an email and let's get this going for you. Because like Dawn just said, like, I mean, years of therapy, and that's the hard part, is like sometimes you're spinning your wheels so much, it's hard to think that something might actually work, because everything that you've done before hasn't worked. But this works over and over again. This has really been the missing piece for so many who have been searching for so long. And also, if you're just starting, this is where you start. Just like Dawn said, like, this is a great starting point, because your body is what needs to be healed so that the other healing can happen as well.
Mhm.
So thank you, Dawn, so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm so blessed to be a part of
Uh,
this group. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've loved having you on the calls and seeing you show up and put this effort into it, because you've received the benefits of it, and being the witness to that is my greatest pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys. I love you. Bye-bye.